right. We are live. Phoenix Suns get a nice win on a back-to-back against the Detroit Pistons, 116-100. And we were sort of talking live that this was sort of a close game for a little bit there, and then the Suns kind of ran away with it. Today, I am joined by a guest, fellow content creator here, Detroit Pistons fan, Ledgie Sports. Your link is in the description, your link tree for all your links, your TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, etc. Make sure to go give him a follow. Do you want to introduce yourself, man? Tell people what you do. Tell the people how long you've been a Pistons fan. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on here. It's really great after just getting thrashed by the Suns, but it's all good. But I'm DJ. I'm a content creator under the name Ledgie Sports on TikTok, YouTube. I mostly frequent on Twitter, post about really anything. Sometimes it's about general NBA stuff, but a lot of time it's about my hometown, Detroit Pistons. Well, kind of hometown. I'm from Northern Michigan, but it's close enough. But I have been a Pistons fan for kind of as long as I can remember. My dad was a sports writer, so he would always go to he was a big Tigers fan. And I was kind of the big basketball guy, but he would always go to the NBA finals. He went to the ones in the late 80s. He went to the 04 championship.
That's awesome, man.
Favorite story is Shaq made fun of his perm. So yeah, he has some funny stories. Went to school with Dan, or didn't go to school with, but went to Central Michigan University, which is also where Dan Marley went.
Yeah.
He was kind of that kind of ties us in a little bit.
Yep.
He actually helped come up with the nickname Thunder Dan.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I know a lot of people might think that's a lie, but originally he was Lightning Dan, and there was another guy, I can't remember his other name. It was Thunder something. He graduated. Thunder Dan stepped in. He took that name.
Wow.
So, yep, started at the CMU newspaper.
Well, as somebody who's a fan of NBA history like myself, and as you can see with my wall, as a fan of Suns history, I would love to have a conversation with your dad sometime, because
he would love that. Yeah, that'd be cool.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. Once again, you guys joined by DJ, aka Ledgie Sports. Again, big Pistons fan, content creator. And once again, thank you so much for being here, man. I like your Jalen Duren jersey and your Cade Cunningham jersey in the back.
Had to choose which one to put up. I had my Killian Hayes photo up, signed autograph, but
that's awesome.
I am probably one of the biggest Killian supporters you'll meet.
I've seen I've seen the content. I've seen the tweets.
It's hard. I can say that, but I don't know. Change of scenery maybe, but that's for later. I don't know. I can't even talk about it right now without tearing up.
So some of you guys might be wondering, like, how did you guys get like linked up? Why are you guys like collaborating? Well, I started following you on TikTok because you know how the algorithm is. It just feeds you random content. I was like, this guy's always uploading. He knows the stuff. Follow. And then you reached out to me earlier on. You're like, hey, like we should like talk Suns and Pistons or whatever. And then, real life happened. We got busy. And I was like, hey, Suns are playing the Pistons. I'm going to see what he's doing. And here we are. So once again, you guys go follow Ledgie Sports, link down below. But let's go ahead, dive into this game, man. And it's pretty simple. Just any thoughts, any takeaways, man? We're going to go over the numbers and all that. Did you have like an MVP from this game? What are your thoughts and takeaways, man?
So whenever the Pistons play any team with a dominant big man, I'm going to say that player is going to be the MVP. In this one, it was DeAndre Ayton, 100%. And I actually looked it up during the game. He averages 18, 10, and 2 on 72% field goal percentage with 2 blocks against the Pistons in his 9 games.
He feasts.
Exactly. And after tonight, you can only think that went up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's able to get what he wants with limited communication coming from the Pistons on defense. It is awful. I'm a good sport. Thank you, Mark Jackson.
I was going to say, you got some supporters in the chat already. So
I appreciate
everybody that's in here. Yep.
But it also doesn't help the Pistons, but it helps you that he has the point guard CP3. It doesn't help us at all.
Again, man, if you ever need me to pull up the stats at any point in this chat, let me know. But yeah, he was absolutely dominated tonight, man. Trust me. Look, DeAndre Ayton is a roller coaster of a player. You know what I mean? And he is one of the most criticized Phoenix Suns players of all time. But damn it, I am one of his biggest supporters, kind of like you are with Killian Hayes. Yeah. And at the same time, though, I'm his biggest critic. And I feel like if I had a conversation one-on-one with DeAndre Ayton, he would understand these criticisms. because the guy is so polarizing. He has so much potential, and it's like the not even the sky's the limit. Like space is the limit for him. But there's just some nights where he's not fully engaged. He's not fully there. He puts up bad numbers. Tonight, that wasn't the case. And it was defensively as well, man. I thought he was really good defensively. He was just absolutely dominating the paint, had a couple mid-range shots as well. Finished the game with 31, 16, and he only missed 2 shots. That is absolutely dominant, man. And there, I saw some people tweeting out that he was like communicating with other players on defense. This is the DeAndre Ayton that Suns fans, including myself, want to see night in and night out. He was absolutely incredible. I think it's pretty safe to say he's my MVP. He was absolutely great, man.
Yeah, and he has to be plus in these situations going against a young center in Jalen Duren and a shorter center in Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah,
he is. I love him. And DeAndre Ayton was someone I wanted all off season. I made a few videos about it. The Pacers ended up signing him to that contract, and I know. And then they matched it. But I really wanted Troy Weaver, the Pistons GM, to scoop him up. But Jalen Duren was a good consolation for that, not being able to get Ayton. He reminds me a lot of a young, like Sean Kemp, young Dwight Howard type player.
Speaking my language, man. You're speaking my language.
I love Jalen Duren.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I was just gonna say I'm not like a huge draft expert at all, but the homework I did do when you guys got Jalen Duren, I was like, yes. I was like, this is a good move. I really like what I saw from Isaiah Stewart tonight as well. And we're going to talk about it later, but I'm like, I have some thoughts on the Pistons. I'm like, I'm excited to hear your take about the Pistons' future. We're definitely going to talk about that later. But DeAndre Ayton, DeAndre Ayton was really good tonight. Chris Paul, I think, has to get an honorable mention from the MVP. And we can talk Pistons MVPs later because there were some pretty good performances out there. Chris Paul, though, the point guard, I know that Suns fans right now are probably heated that he missed all of his shots, only finished with 2 points, which were free throws, by the way. But he did have 14 assists in this game, just setting guys up, being the point guard out there, being the quarterback out there. He was great. Mikal Bridges, 24 points, 9 for 15 shooting. Cam Johnson, I could talk about Cam Johnson forever because I love Cam Johnson. 20 points, 7 for 9 from the field. Just a solid all-around game from I could go up and down the list for the Phoenix Suns, man. They were just absolutely great. And with all due respect, sir, this was just a game the Suns needed to win. I mean, obviously the Pistons are completely injured right now. They're a very bad team on defense and all that. And even though your Pistons fought pretty well, there's some sequences I'd like to talk about later. Like they did, the Suns took care of business when they needed to, especially late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I mean, the pick and roll killed us the entire game. DeAndre Ayton, CP3, I already mentioned that. There was one play, wrote it down at some point.
I can't find it. But too. Yeah.
There was one play that stood out to me the most is because the Pistons, right when they figured out how to deal with the pick and roll, Chris Paul whips it out to Dario Saric, and then Saric instantly whips it right to Ayton on down in the dunker spot.
I saw that. That was a great play. Dude, that was such a good pass.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, well, we're done. I mean, we had a little bit of a roll going. I was like, if we figure one thing out and they're a step ahead, like Saric, I give him credit. I didn't know he had that kind of IQ. I mean, that would have been one of his only shots of the night. It was a nice wide open one, but I mean, Ayton was open as well.
No, man, I'm really glad you brought up Dario Saric because, man, Monty Williams likes to call him a connector, and he really is, man. And as of late, the numbers may not show it, but he really has been a key piece to even if it's just a couple wins in a row for the Suns. He's been a big part of that. Like there was a game not too long ago where he had 13 rebounds, but they were impactful rebounds, and then he didn't really do much on the stats. He had a double-double last night against the Celtics. He just has those little games here and there where he'll do something productive, even if it's moving the ball around or getting a really impressive pass into Ayton in the post. Dario Saric is great, man. And what did he finish with tonight? He finished with 23 minutes, 6 points, 3 assists, 2 boards. Again, it's just a typical Dario Saric game. Statistically, he's not really going to blow you away, but he is a pretty important piece, in my opinion, to this team. I'm not saying he's untouchable. We're going to talk about the trade deadline later and all that, but he's a great piece, man. I'm glad that you brought him up.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at Pistons that would put up the same sort of stat line and they wouldn't have anywhere near the same impact. And I'm not trying to trash my franchise.
Right.
I love the Pistons. Like I said, I watch every game past few years now, and it's just we need players like that. We need players that can come in and have an impact when they don't have the ball as much. I mean, we need guys who can make the right plays. We need guys who play the defense. Exactly.
Yeah. And like, I think it's just one of those situations, man. And trust me, the Suns were in this situation when we like Ayton's rookie year. Just there were teams that were just much more experienced than us. They had more veterans, better communication on and off the court. It's just your team's young, man. Let's be real. Like, you have a whole bunch of young guys there, not many veterans on the team outside of Bogdanovich and whoever else is a veteran on that team. And
Alec Burks.
Alec Burks, I forgot about him. And again, you guys are completely injured right now too. So it's just one of those things, just better experience. The points in the paint battle, again, I think that's really where we won the game. Because again, in all fairness, the Pistons did a really good job of just staying in this game. Like, even though late in the fourth quarter, the Suns just completely ran away with it. It seemed like the Suns would have like a 15-point lead or a 10-point lead, and the Pistons would just cut right back in there. But let me just read you this, man. Points in the paint, 54 for the Phoenix Suns tonight, 30 for the Pistons. Like, that just goes to show what a night it was for the Suns. And that's huge for the Phoenix Suns, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're missing Marvin Bagley, and I know that's not like the biggest name around, but he's a guy who can give you 10, 20.
He'll always bring it with Ayton, too. He'll always bring it with Ayton.
Yep. I mean, the 1-2 of the draft.
Yep.
They have to. But we're just hurting with all these injuries, like you already mentioned. I mean, we've already been without Cade Cunningham most of the year, and people are already forgetting what kind of player he is and what he can be. I'm seeing all these lists online, man, of just top players under 25, and he's not even on the top 25 of that list.
Yeah. So I think it's just because he's injured, and NBA, Twitter, and all them have short-term memories, but he's fantastic, man.
And I don't fret too much because I know what he is.
Yeah.
Exactly. I know what he's going to be able to do, and I'm really excited for next year.
Yeah. And you know what you just said about Cade Cunningham, honestly, kind of, and look, this is my biased Suns fan talking here. It reminds me of Devin Booker, man. Just NBA. I know that that's just a bunch of trolls and everything, but NBA Twitter loves to just completely forget about Booker. But at the end of the day, it's like, you know that the players know who Devin Booker is. They know who Cade Cunningham is, even though he's a young player and all that. It's like the professionals know, the coaches know. But Booker's always getting left off of those important lists like Cade Cunningham is and all that. And I'm glad that you brought that up. Just real quick, two more stats that I just wanted to point out here. 46 rebounds compared to the Pistons 30. Suns had 34 assists tonight compared to the Pistons 23. Again, if you need me to pull up the stats, let me know. Were there any stats that stood out to you? Even if it's from the Pistons side, like I saw that Saddiq Bey had 25 points off the bench. Like anybody, anything or anyone stand out to you?
Saben Lee. I mean, him matching Killian Hayes' point total on the night was honestly a little bit disappointing on my end, because you look at Saben Lee, he was part of the core four of that 2020 draft with Killian Hayes, Saddiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, and then Sabo. I mean, former Piston.
Yep.
He got traded. I can't remember where he traded to Phoenix, then cut. What was do you remember what his original thing was?
I don't think he was traded. I think we signed him on a couple 10 days. We signed him in the preseason, and then we let him go, and then we re-signed him to 10 days, and now he's a two-way player.
Okay, there's my short term coming up with that. But I mean, just seeing that was a little bit disappointing.
My memory sucks when it comes to that kind of stuff too. So,
but seeing Saban and Killian have the same stat line, at least in the point department, was a little disappointing. Killian 1 for 6 is always going to be going to give you some pain if you're the Pistons. I mean, that kind of just shoots you in the foot right away.
Yeah,
you don't stand a chance.
And I feel like with Killian Hayes, man, I mean, I know that he had a really rough start to the season and then kind of bounced back for a while. And, you know, obviously with Cade Cunningham there, they brought in Jaden Ivey and everything. It's like, you got to kind of wonder if he's playing for his job in terms of with the Pistons. But like at the same time, I'm like, they might still believe in him. And this is the time now to shine, especially with Cade Cunningham being out. Who knows if he'll even return this season? You did tweet at me that you said 29 days he comes back. Like, or 29 games? Like, are they going to bring him back this season, Cade Cunningham?
So there's only 28 games in the season left.
Yeah, exactly.
for us as well. So
Yeah.
it would be game 1 of next year.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I
So
figured with your tweet. I was like, wait a minute. I was like, are they going to bring him back?
yeah, that's the little joke with the Pistons. It's like we just
Yeah.
can't wait for game 1 of next year. We're kind of just coasting our way till Cade's back. But to bring
Trust
up
me,
the point
man.
about Killian Hayes is he was phenomenal for a couple months. And then what happened was he got hurt.
Yep.
Something happened. They decided to change the lineup. He was starting and he was playing very well with our guys.
I remember that. Yeah.
And then Dwayne Casey decided to put him off the bench, which was a little bit disappointing. You have this guy who was having a career high, like scoring attribute, playmaking attribute. He was playing very well for us, and we just decided to put him off the bench because, I mean, that's his long-term role. Right. While I can agree with that, it brings me to the point of, well, like people on the bench would be our 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th best guys. So you're not really surrounding him with what he needs to succeed. He's not a guy to go out there and score 20 points ever. And we're kind of putting him in that role that Alex Burks was in before we put him as a starter, which was to score. So setting him up for failure a little bit.
Can't say that Monty Williams hasn't ever done that, to be honest. Every coach has their flaws. I will say, though, it is kind of a luxury to have sort of that young guard lineup, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Killian Hayes, etc. And that's why you're on this channel, man, to tell us what's going on with the Pistons, which, again, later in the show, we will definitely talk about. Any other, final thoughts in terms of like this game? I mean, there's some sequences that I want to talk about from a Suns point of view, but any kind of final thoughts on this game that we can kind of move on a little bit? We can get some questions and all that.
Yeah, Hamidou Diallo has been phenomenal for the Pistons since the new year. He is shooting over 70% from the field. Might have changed after this game, but he has been electric. I mean, he's a guy the past few years that has started the year not playing, out of the rotation, to being a guy suddenly that is contributing to us at a high level. If I was a contender, I'd be at least looking at him a little bit with Alec Burks and Bojan, but I don't know. It's a tough one. It might be just a spark in the pan. Who knows? Or flash in the pan, I guess it would be.
He finished with 9 points tonight. And the two sequences that I remember from him was when he had that like buzzer beater dunk at the end of the first or whatever. And then I think he had one play where he like drove through Jock Landale and just like, I don't know if he dunked it or laid it up and in. That was what I saw from him. I do know that he's an explosive young guard, but I don't really know much about him. And then the dunk contest stuff, I don't really know much about him beyond that. So that's nice insight from you on him. Just a few sequences from the Suns' point of view, some things that I wrote down that I kind of just wanted to talk about. Because we already talked about like the points in the paint. Ayton was feasting out there. I'll start with this. There was one play I really liked from CP3 and DeAndre Ayton. Want to say this might have been mid third quarter, late fourth quarter, or early fourth quarter. I don't remember when it was. Yeah, it was third quarter. Okay. CP3 was doubled. DeAndre Ayton was kind of near the free throw line, and then he cut to the basket. CP3 right in between both of the Pistons defenders. Ayton threw it down. Cam Johnson had a nice drive to the lane dunk, which led to an and one. And Cam hit a three after that. Then Cam Johnson had like a reverse dunk. I'm just kind of writing down like moments and sequences that I saw from the Suns. But then all of a sudden, Pistons went on a 16-7 run with 6:34 left in the third quarter. Isaiah Stewart came out of nowhere, and I don't know if he finished with 13 points in the third quarter, but he dominated there. Dario, you kind of mentioned that Dario pass earlier to DeAndre Ayton. There was one sequence that really stood out to me from Ish Wainwright. Someone shot the ball and it missed. Ish Wainwright got the rebound, snuck in for the rebound, and then found Mikal Bridges for an and one. Cam Johnson hit a three with 3:21 left, and then that was pretty much the ball game. Those were just some sequences that really stood out to me. DeAndre Ayton had his fourth 30-point game this season, and someone tweeted out that was as many that he's had in his whole career before this season. So just some sequences and moments that really stood out to me. Any thoughts on that or any other plays for you that stood out?
Well, giving more praise to DeAndre Ayton. I mean, he held Jalen Duren to, I think, 0-2 shooting on the night.
I was like, we haven't talked much about Jalen Duren tonight.
Yeah. I mean, it's disappointing. He's been a guy who's been a double-double machine for us. So props to Ayton, props to the Suns for kind of shutting him down. But I mean, that might be on our offense for only allowing 2 shots or giving him 2 shots, but who knows? that was just something I saw that was pretty wild.
Spontaneous question here before we move on. Because like I said, the Pistons kind of kept climbing back into this game. Do you feel like that was more on the Pistons end, or do you think that the Suns were tired from last night's game? You know, they're on the road. Do you feel like I'm maybe overhyping the Pistons on defense right now, or do you feel like they actually came to play on defense tonight?
So they have their moments. They really do. It clicks for 3 seconds, and then before you know it, they're down by 20 again. And
just like we
it's
saw
something where exactly. And they're also coming off a pretty nice back-to-back against Charlotte. Everyone played pretty well that game. Jaden Ivey had a great game. He's kind of slower this game. But the people I'm going to credit with that third quarter comeback was Bojan and Burks. And that's leading me to the reason why I think the Pistons should keep them. I don't know if you want to save that for later in the trade deadline topics, but we can move off that right now if you want.
We can continue on, man. Do you want to talk about the trade deadline first? Then we'll talk about the Pistons' future and all that. I mean, we can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, we're already on the topic. Might as well.
So I guess, do you want to start with the Kyrie stuff, or should we just talk like Suns trade rumors, Pistons trade rumors? Like, are the Pistons going to make any moves, or is Troy Weaver going to stand put at the deadline? Like, what do you think, man? Just any trade talk, really. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah, let's start with the Pistons front, just because we're already kind of leading from that, if that's all good with you. I kind of hope the Pistons make minor moves, and by that, I mean I hope they keep Bojan, and I hope they keep Burks. I don't know if that's kind of a minority opinion, just because I really do think that these are guys that you bring in next year with Cade Cunningham, year 2 Jaden Ivey, what will it be, year 4 Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Stewart, all that cap space and a top 5 draft pick. I mean, that is destined to be a winner at that point. Maybe not like a top 8 seed, maybe a playing squad. If we do make a trade, I'm really hoping to be a third team in some sort of deal. Maybe it's in the Kyrie deal, maybe it's in a Westbrook deal, but somewhere where we can take on salary and get back draft picks.
Yeah, I feel like kind of the two topics, which were, Pistons future and the trade deadline, kind of intertwined together.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have had some better questions for you, but Bojan Bogdanovic, I'll just say this, man. Like, I knew who he was prior to him getting traded to the Pistons and all that. I knew he could score and all that. But I found a newfound respect for him during the summer when he was playing with Croatia during the Eurobasket tournament with Dario Saric, by the way. Dude, he's a hooper, man. The dude can straight up play. And you mentioned that you want to keep him for next season, be a veteran for Cade Cunningham and all the other young guys out there. Again, you said this earlier in the stream too, that like you need those guys. You need those kind of veteran players, and you need that experience. And it's like the Pistons don't have to trade him. You know what I mean? It's not like he's like forcing his way out, demanding a trade request and all that. Like, I'm sure he's happy with his role there. He's doing his best. He had 23 points tonight on 8 for 17 shooting. He's balling out for them, man. So I think I agree with you. Like, I could probably see the Pistons making a couple moves, but I would probably hang on to Bogdanovic.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where if there's an offer you can't refuse, like if there's a really nice unprotected first along with the young player, or just the unprotected first, you have to.
Yep.
But we can't be the like forever revolving door of getting veterans that are very solid, trading them for draft picks, because at what point is Cade going to be our veteran? We need guys above Cade to help him grow.
Yeah. No, that's spot on, man. I think I 100% agree with you. Any questions for me? I mean, do you want to talk about the Kyrie stuff? I have just some thoughts. I went live, shameless plug, Suns fans. I went live for like an hour and 45 minutes yesterday, talking all about it. I was freaking out. Didn't know what I was talking about for half the time, but now I've had time to process the Kyrie stuff.
Yeah, let's go into that, because that ties into some of my free agent questions for Phoenix. I mean,
go for it.
The big question I have for any Phoenix Sun fan is, what do they think when the front office comes out? Or maybe it's not the front office, maybe it's the scouting, maybe it's somebody, but there's rumors coming out that they want to try to find their next point guard already, while Chris Paul is actually still balling out. I mean, he looks like he has 1 or 2 more years in the tank, and they're looking at Fred VanVleet, they're looking at D'Angelo Russell. At least that might have been a name I heard.
That's accurate.
There's a ton of names out there at point guard. So what is your take on that?
First off, man, you already know we're in a point guard dominant era. And again, I'm a huge fan of NBA history. That is a huge thing to say. You know what, man? I said this yesterday, and I even said this before the Kyrie stuff came out, man. I was like, I don't see Chris Paul getting traded, man. Again, like, unless it's like a huge offer that the Suns cannot deny, and you have to kind of sacrifice Chris Paul. I just don't see him getting traded, man. I know that there's some people that are like, well, you can't have Kyrie and Chris Paul on the same team. I'm like, yeah, you can. Chris Paul would probably
make it work.
sacrifice and come off the bench. Yeah, like you say, he'll make it work. That's the veteran future Hall of Famer Chris Paul is what he's going to do. But let's take Kyrie out of this. I would be open for a D'Angelo Russell trade for the right price. Chris Paul might have to take a back seat, but he has been playing great as of well. Again, I know the shooting was really bad tonight, but who cares? He had 14 assists. I'm fine with Chris Paul not scoring the ball. We have plenty of scorers on this team that can get the job done. Chris Paul will take over when he needs to do. Like, he'll score when he needs to score. Again, I don't really know if this answers your question. I mean, I've made videos about the OG Anunoby stuff. He's an absolute incredible defender. He would help any contending team, especially the Suns. But I don't want to get rid of Chris Paul, man. I mean, I went over his contract yesterday. Like, he'll be an unrestricted free agent in 2025. He'll be 40, and like only $15 million of his contract is guaranteed next season. So like, It's sort of like a win-win, man. Like, his contract's pretty good for the most part. I know that he's 37 and he's regressing and all that, but keep him, man. Like, we don't want to slap him in the face and piss him off and all that. Just keep him out of trade rumors. And I do trust James Jones to make the right move. If he believes that Kyrie Irving, as controversial as that may be, is the guy for our future. Don't forget, Kyrie's only 30, by the way. Then I trust James Jones, man. James Jones hasn't given me a reason yet to start doubting him. Don't get me wrong. I was kind of critical at some points of James Jones, because I'm sure you remember when the Suns were really struggling recently. I even said, I was like, dude, like, if James Jones is taking this roster in the playoffs, we're finished. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And like my guy Logan in the chat says, I'm a fan of Fred VanVleet. He's been playing better too. He really has been struggling this season, but he's been playing better as of late. For the right price, I'd be open to a Fred VanVleet trade as well. So that's kind of just my rant and my thoughts on the whole CP3 trade rumor stuff. I mean, yeah, I'm exhausted talking about it, but that's how it is, man.
Would CP3 go in a Fred deal? Like, what are some that you've heard? Because I hear the names, but I never hear like what Phoenix ever has to send back. Because I feel like if you trade what Phoenix has away, you're getting rid of gritty defenders, you're getting rid of length, getting rid of something. I mean, that happens with every team, but
that's a great question, because I sort of talked about this yesterday, and I hate to pick on DeAndre Ayton here, but you're going to have to sacrifice somebody big, whether that is a DeAndre Ayton or Cam Johnson, who I think is a restricted free agent after this year, but we didn't extend him. I doubt when Mikal Bridges gets traded. Again, like, you're going to have to sacrifice one of those core pieces. It'd be like if the Pistons were in this situation. Like, you'd have to sacrifice, let's say we're like 5 years down the road, like, you'd have to sacrifice a Jalen Duren or an Ivy or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, so again, if that sort of answers your question, I think CP3 is untouchable to an extent. Booker's not going anywhere. Mikal Bridges, I give Bridges a 2% chance of getting traded. But everybody else, man, I'm sure they're available for trade. We have a lot of expiring contracts. We haven't even mentioned Jay Crowder yet. We all know he's out the door.
Yeah.
He's not even in the door. He's not even freaking here. So hopefully that answers your question, man.
Yeah, it does.
Let's see. Let's move on here. I guess really, I mean, again, any other final thoughts, like on the trade deadline or Kyrie or any of that? Where do you think Kyrie's going to go?
I don't think the Lakers. I think everyone's kind of penciled him in as a Los Angeles Laker, but I don't think the Brooklyn Nets are looking at Russell Westbrook and saying, I don't think they want that.
Yeah.
They don't. I don't know. I almost don't feel like they want him. And even if they gave up that 27 and 29 first round pick, I don't think that's enough to take on Westbrook.
Right.
I feel like they can get better offers elsewhere. I mean, the Clippers, if they can throw together a Mod Podge of just different role players to fit around KD and now Cam Thomas.
Yeah.
And Cam Thomas just dropped 44.
And
So
Steve Ballmer, their owner, will pay whatever it costs, to get somebody like a Kyrie if he and the general managers want that.
exactly, like former Piston Luke Kennard could get moved. That would be a great shooting
I don't
threat
think
for
he's been
Brooklyn.
playing either, to my knowledge.
Mm-mm. Yeah, it's tough. I don't know where Kyrie's going to go. Dallas has been one that's brought up, but then you kind of have to like take everything that they've built, and now it's Luke on Kyrie. That's kind of it.
They would have no. I said that yesterday. I was like, they would have no bench. It would just be him and
Exactly.
Luka. So
exactly, that'd be too tough.
my guy Logan says maybe Johnson or Ayton, but I think we could get FVV for expirings plus 2 picks. Oh yeah, by the way, we have all of our future picks first and second round for the next 7 years. That's a huge asset. Maybe that's too optimistic though. Fred could be the 6th man until the summer. I think really with Fred VanVleet, it's just his contract. Not that that's a bad thing. It's not his fault. I mean, but I think he's on a pretty big contract to my knowledge. And again, man, let's be real. This is what James Jones and his front office get paid to do. And I don't know if you've been following our ownership saga, controversy, and all that. We do have a new owner, and I'm going to pull up this graphic right here. Matt Ishbia. This was on the broadcast tonight. Who is pretty much going to be introduced February 8th. I'm so excited for that for his press conference. He was at the game Michigan tonight. Yeah, tied to Michigan. Member of the 2000. Michigan State National Championship team. And also, I'm going to lower this graphic real quick, would be the 5th active owner from Michigan. Now, I don't know those names besides Steve Ballmer, to be honest. But he would be the
Gores
youngest.
Is the Pistons.
Oh, wait, who?
Gores.
Oh, I did not know that. Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. And then, he'd be the youngest active owner at age 43. And then I was watching the Pistons broadcast tonight, and they were bringing up all these what is it, HBCU, black colleges and all that. They showed all the Pistons legends and all that, and everybody that was tied to that. And then obviously we all know Devin Booker's from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yeah. So many Pistons, Suns connections and Michigan connections as well. But I wanted to bring this up. I tweeted this graphic out. Really excited for Matt Ishbia. And look, man, I mean, I can't predict the future. I guess where I'm going with all this is, from what I've read about Matt Ishbia and from a couple interviews I've seen online, I mean, I don't know how he is as a person. I've never met the dude. But I will say this. In his first Suns game that he attended, he was walking around, shaking hands with fans, talking with fans that would stop him. He seems like a winner, and he seems like he wants to win. Now, I don't know how aggressive he'll be, because let's be real, at the end of the day, it's James Jones and all them making the moves. I mean, I'm sure he can overrule James Jones, but you get what I just think he is going to be a good owner for us. I'm praying that he's a good owner for us, better than our racist, sexist owner, Robert Sarver, you know what I mean? So I'm excited for Matt Ishbia, man. Again, he's going to be introduced February 8th. The trade deadline's February 9th. It's going to be an insane next week. You know what I mean? It's going to be wild, man.
Yeah, I think if there's going to be a move, it's going to wait until then where he's in the office. Yeah. I mean, he's already probably speaking to him a little bit about his thoughts, but I don't know. I don't know if a guy like that has the credibility to come in and just say, okay, do this. I wonder if he's just saying, you guys, you deal with it. Next year, we'll group up.
That's kind of where I've been too, man. I'm like, I'm sure, because James Jones has said they've talked a little bit, but I guarantee you, dude, they're probably like texting behind the scenes, calling each other like in secret. It probably just hasn't been reported. But maybe Matt like I'm on both sides of that. Like maybe he's going to let James Jones do his thing for a little bit, but maybe he also comes in here and says, I want X, Y, and Z done. Trade for player X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? And trade all of our draft picks away. Who knows, man? But it's an interesting, that's why I'm excited for the press conference. Like, it's going to be interesting to hear what he has to say, and then we'll go from there. So I just wanted to talk about that real quick. So I'm going to ask you a couple spontaneous questions, and then we can move on. Once again, you guys, in a little bit, if you guys want to join the show and give your thoughts, I'll make sure to put the invite link in the chat, and then we can kind of just talk about whatever and then get out of here, man. So real quick, man, just a couple spontaneous questions for you. What's your like perspective, your thoughts on like Pistons fans right now? Like, I don't know how many games you go to. I don't know how many Pistons fans you interact with on a daily basis, But let me just tell you this, like Suns Twitter is a roller coaster of emotions. Every loss is like the worst loss in the world, you know what I mean? So how are Pistons fans thinking right now? Are they excited? Are they optimistic? Are they pissed off all the time? Like you tell me how Pistons fans are.
Pistons fans are unique in a way where 1 minute every single account is united, and then the next minute they're divided. So
So like
there's
Suns
always
Twitter.
I feel like that's basically every Twitter,
Yeah.
but everyone can unite on the fact that Cade Cunningham is coming back next year, and we're excited for that. But in the meantime, there's the talks about Dwayne Casey. There's the talks about Killian Hayes. People are suggesting we trade Jaden Ivey.
Oh, don't
I,
do that.
I don't know. It's a small group of people, but there's so many different little factions. It feels like there's the Killian lovers, there's the Killian haters, there's the Jaden Ivey supporters, there's the tank for Victor, there's the we don't need Victor, we need Scoot, or there's the why do we need Scoot? We need number 3. There's the we need to trade our pick. I mean, I feel like this is the most divided the Pistons fan base has been in a long time. Not even on Twitter. I mean, I look on the Facebook groups.
Oh yeah.
Instagram comments on every player's post, on the Pistons posts.
TikTok.
I mean, TikTok especially. I mean, it's really divided.
That's fair.
Kind of disappointing.
I just wanted to get your thoughts on that because obviously the Pistons are rebuilding. They're young. They're losing right now and all that. And again, just a few years ago, the Suns were in the exact spot pretty much the Pistons were in. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that and kind of get your perspective from a Pistons fan. Random question here. How many Pistons games have you gone to like this season or throughout your whole life? Like can you recount like the number?
So Pistons games growing up, I went to probably 3 or 4 a year.
Wow.
I live about, I mean, if this is Michigan, Detroit, I don't know which way it would show on here, but Detroit's down here.
Right.
I live up here.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not even showing down here and then up
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
So it's about a 4 or 5 hour drive. I mostly just watch games. This year I'm going to my first one against the Spurs.
Nice.
Going to a Pistons game in Orlando, middle of February.
Wow.
I'm hoping to go to another one this year, but
that's awesome,
generally stick to recently about 1 a year.
Gotcha. No, that's kind of how it's been for me. I mean, I don't currently live in Phoenix. It's a long, boring story why I don't. But when I did live there, it was just every once in a while I'd go to a game. Obviously, ticket prices have gone way up, but I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on that. So, last kind of spontaneous question, then we'll bring in some fans or whatever, and then we'll talk about whatever and we'll get out of here. If you had to kind of pitch the Detroit Pistons to somebody, like what would you say? How would you get them hyped? Does that question make sense? Like,
yeah, like to fans or to
fans or to like maybe an outsider, like someone who's not really into basketball, or maybe even Suns fans that want to, support or follow the Pistons. Like, how would you advertise them?
Yeah, I just think every NBA team has to come from somewhere, and every team has mostly tasted some sort of success along the way. And the Pistons are on that part where they are a step away from being pretty good. I mean, look at Cleveland. They were really bad after LeBron left. They were retooling. They went through Sexton, and Garland was the worst point guard in the league. He turned it around. They were able to make a big move. I mean, a monster move for Donovan Mitchell. And we are almost to that step.
Right.
In my head, in a lot of people's heads as well. But Cade Cunningham is probably one of the most selfless players, I think, in the NBA at this point. He's just really easy to root for.
Right.
So
we
have a lot of money. So that we can get a lot of free agents. So.
Yeah, I was like, I thought I saw a tweet. I don't know if it was Bobby Marks or somebody else, one of those, salary cap guys. I do think you guys do have a lot of salary. I could be wrong, 45 million, I want to say.
Right around there.
Yeah, something around. And dude, that's actually a lot, man. And again, I don't know what the Pistons are going to do, but that's a lot of money. Who knows what the free agency, situation is going to look like and all that. It's going to be insane, man. Yeah. So we're going to bring on a couple subscribers, followers here. You guys can ask us questions or give your thoughts on the game. We're 40 minutes in, and then we'll kind of just talk about whatever. So we're going to bring on Will just real quick. Will, how you doing, man? Can you hear me? What's going on, man? Going once or will. Nope. Okay, we're gonna bring on my guy Mark Cooper. Mark, what's going on, man?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. You're always in the chat, bringing on great comments and great questions. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate that.
Of course, man. What were your thoughts on the game, man? Did you have any questions for us? Do you have any thoughts, opinions?
Getting an echo.
You getting an echo?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Ledgie, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we're getting a yeah.
Yep, I can hear.
Cool. Mark, I don't know if you heard my question, but do you have any thoughts on this game? Do you have any takeaways on the Kyrie stuff? Any questions for us? Like, what's going on, man?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind Kyrie, but the thing is, he does have baggage.
Right.
Yeah, I heard you.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you have a chance to get Kyrie, obviously that'd be a great thing, but he does have a lot of baggage. The off the court issues. So I just keep thinking about Van Vliet. I just can't, I just think he'd be a great addition.
No, that's a good thought there. Is there any reason why you want Fred Van Vliet, or like who you would be willing to sacrifice for him in a trade?
Well, if it's just Van Vliet, I guess you'd have to give up 2 first rounders and probably Cam, I guess.
Yeah, that's probably accurate. Logan says, have Mark close out the video to stop the echo. He still has it pulled up.
Yeah,
I don't know if that will help. William says, do you want Irving or Durant more? So I sort of talked about this yesterday. And I was sort of texting a friend about this as well, that how do I say this? Sort of like I mentioned earlier in this chat and in the stream, for the right price, I would welcome Kyrie if James Jones really wants him to an extent. Because remember, Kyrie is going to be a free agent. We talked about this yesterday during the 1 hour, 45-minute emergency live show. But I was talking to a friend about this, and I was like, I would probably, if I was a betting man, I would probably bet that if Kyrie Irving gets traded and if Kevin Durant requests a trade, that I would probably go all in on Kevin Durant coming to Phoenix Suns. So to answer William's question, do I want Kyrie or Durant more? I think I want Kevin Durant just a little bit more, just because, again, sort of like William mentioned, there's all the Kyrie baggage. There's, he's an unrestricted free agent. He can go anywhere he wants. And really, you guys, there sort of was a small update on the Kyrie thing. Not really. I think it was just Woj saying that the Clippers are interested. Real quick, Ledgie, are you still here, man? I don't know if we got disconnected. Ledgie, if you can hear me, feel free to rejoin the show whenever you can, man. But real quick, you guys, Woj had a story earlier, and I'll pull up my Twitter here. It's sort of the same stuff we heard, though, pretty much that the Clippers are now a team that has emerged in pursuit of a Kyrie trade. So I'm going to share this tweet real quick. And again, if you guys got any questions or if you guys want to join the show, let me know. The link is in the chat. You guys can come join the show. But here's sort of, I guess, the quote latest on the Kyrie situation. We really didn't hear much. Hopefully you guys can see that too. But the Los Angeles Lakers, Dallas Mavericks, Phoenix Suns, among others, have been engaging with the Nets since Irving's trade demand on Friday. And now the Clippers, who have been in the trade market for a point guard, are probing a possible deal. That's sort of the latest, Kevin. We didn't really hear much. And I even had a poll going on my Twitter. I was like, when do you guys think that Kyrie Irving will be traded? Do you think it'll be tomorrow? Do you guys think it will be on deadline day? Do you think it'll be on February 8th? I don't know. That's sort of the latest. We didn't really hear much from the Kevin or the Kyrie Irving saga, if you will. We got Mark back in here. Mark, can you hear me, sir? All right. Again, if anybody wants to join the show, you guys, just real quick, you guys can give your thoughts and everything. Let me know. I'll put the link in the chat one more time. I think my guest Ledgie might have gotten disconnected. But again, if you guys want to follow Ledgie, know what's going on with the Detroit Pistons, link is in the description. He was a great guest on the show. So we had a question here from Backcourt Highlights. And Backcourt Highlights, thank you so much, man, for all your nice comments. I appreciate it. I've seen you in the comment section in the chat. So should the Suns give up Mikal Bridges in a package for KD? That's an excellent question. And that's a hard question to answer, man. Because, okay, before this Kyrie Irving stuff happened, Mark, can you hear me one more time, Mark? Before this Kyrie Irving stuff happened, when the OG Anunoby trade rumors were going on, I was like, there's probably not a scenario where you can keep like a Mikal Bridges, a Cam Johnson, a Torrey Craig, etc. You can't have like all four of those excellent wing players on your team. But when it comes to Kevin Durant, again, you probably have to sacrifice. And I remember Mikal Bridges was talking about this. Remember when they had that Mikal Bridges day, you know, during the Phillies and Diamondbacks game? He was talking to the Diamondbacks broadcast about this. He knew about those Kevin Durant trade rumors. He knew that his name was getting up in trade talks. But he loves playing for the Phoenix Suns, man. He wants to be here. But would you have to give up and sacrifice a Mikal Bridges for a Kevin Durant? Probably, man. And that's where, as my guy Flex from Jersey puts it, like a domino is going to have to fall. We're going to have to see what the Brooklyn Nets do first. It's probably Kyrie that goes first, because if you guys have been following all the reports and everything, Kyrie pretty much said that he, pretty much give him a contract or he's gone, or trade me, because we couldn't do a contract. I guess his mother or something was like his agent, and they just couldn't come to a negotiation on a deal. And he's pretty much like, trade me. Ooh, and by the way, you guys, Leggie's going to join us in a little bit here. I want to share an interesting tweet that the Sporting News posted. So again, first off, Backcourt Highlights. I don't really know if that answers your question. I would cry if we traded Mikal Bridges, but you're going to have to sacrifice something for Mikal Bridges. So let me share this, you guys. The Sporting News posted this yesterday. This is how crazy the last season or whatever, the last few months have been for the Brooklyn Nets. August, Kevin Durant requests a trade. October, Kyrie tweets the anti-Semitic documentary stuff, all that controversy and all that. November 1st, Nets fire Steve Nash. November 3rd, Nets suspend Kyrie Irving. December, Nets go on a 12-game win streak. Remember when they were like dominating the league and they couldn't be stopped? January 8th, Kevin Durant sprains MCL. February 3rd, Kyrie requests a trade. Look, man, I don't know if it's just a coincidence or if just like stuff happens, but like, is it really that toxic or cursed in Brooklyn? I mean, think of, we're forgetting all about the James Harden stuff too. And to my knowledge, I don't think it's really worked out with Ben Simmons to an extent. Like, I don't know, man. Things in Brooklyn are bad. So again, I really feel like one of the dominoes is going to have to fall, whether that's whether that's a Kyrie Irving first. I mean, I give Kyrie Irving a 98% chance to get traded. So he's probably going to go first. And then what does that package look like in that return? And then, does Kevin Durant want to stay after that? Does he get traded afterwards? I don't know, man. It is going to be an insane next 5 to 6 days. Ledgie, whenever you're ready, man, just let me know.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. I had issues with my mic. My computer died.
No, it's all good, dude. I think Mark Cooper as well was having technical difficulties. It's StreamYard. I mean, this is a great streaming service, but there's, internet connection and all that. It's all good, man. Pretty much what I was talking about, man, was we had some questions about, like, does Mikal Bridges get thrown into a KD trade? And then I don't know if you caught this graphic here from the Sporting News talking about the chaotic season with the Nets and all that. Pretty much all I said was, like, we're going to have to see what the Kyrie Irving trade package looks like, then talk about the Kevin Durant stuff. You know what I mean? And to my knowledge, Kevin Durant, I could be wrong here. Maybe it's what I read. I think they might have had a talk about this first, but I think Kevin Durant said that he was surprised by his trade request. I know that Jock Vaughn just today was saying some pretty professional things about the KD trade request. Pretty much said, I'm paraphrasing, but he was like, I'm focused on this team. I'm letting the general managers have it. That's Monty Williams has said stuff like that. I think that was a professional thing to say. Again, man, we're just going to have to see. Kyrie's got to go first. Then everything else will happen. And you and I were kind of talking about this too. That, like, I feel like some teams might get a little squirrely and maybe trade for, like, a Bogdanovich, for example, or trade for a Jay Crowder. I've talked about that so many times on this channel. Like, teams February 8th or on trade deadline might get a little squirrely and say, you know what, we need player X, Y, and Z. Let's just fucking throw these picks in for a sweetener, or let's trade for this guy. Like, I don't know, man. It's going to get crazy. Just any thoughts on that, before we get out of here?
Yeah, I just think the deadline's going to be a lot of what you don't expect. I think there's going to be a lot of little moves more than major moves. Obviously there's going to be a couple probably. Kyrie's going to be moved. Other than that, there's nothing super notable.
That's fair.
At least to my knowledge. I think there's going to be a lot of little things happening. You're going to be underwhelmed, but there are things that can really help a contender with the kind of end of bench with injuries. It could be your 6th man, 7th man, 8th man. But who knows? It's always a whirlwind. I remember when we got Tobias Harris in Detroit a long time. I
forgot about that. Yeah, that was like his first couple of years, right?
Yep. And then Reggie Jackson at the trade deadline, we got him. Blake Griffin wasn't at the trade deadline, but it was pretty close if I remember right. But there's a lot of stuff you won't expect.
Maybe I'm wrong here because you probably watched more Blake Griffin than I did, but he played his heart out for you guys. Is that fair to say? Like, he was literally playing on, like, one leg.
Yep, he ruined his career playing one leg, like you just said. Played him to the ground, and it was probably his decision as well to guard Giannis without, like you said, on one leg. And you see where he is now.
Yeah.
He's a player who does not get minutes anymore. And if he does, it's because someone's injured. So
before the season, I would say yes, but Bridges has developed his offensive game a lot the last 2 months. That's true. Even though he had, like, a small slump, but I get what Logan's saying here. I think he can be an all-around all-star partner through Book's prime. One KD injury equals window closed. See, again, man, this is what James Jones and, let's say, whoever team is going to trade for KD or Kyrie. Kyrie's had injury history too. That they have to really process that. What Logan said at the end there, one KD injury equals window closed or season closed. You know what I mean?
But when do you say, like, because yes, the window would be shorter. Yeah. So the window of 3 years, let's say, versus 8 years, and then there's 5 years you have to win it. But with KD, I feel like it gives you such a large opportunity that you won't have. Yeah. Maybe there's a better deal to come along the way for Mikal that we might just not know about yet. But I feel like if you have to trade Mikal to get KD, it makes you a favorite. Right now, it's kind of tough with all these teams getting bigger and better.
Yep. Ooh, and just real quick, I 100% agree with you there. The league is getting better. Don't let these records fool you. It is tough to win in the NBA. Just real quick, Mark just said, sorry, Geek, I was coming on with the link there, but there was an echo. I'll try again some other time. but good to meet you. Mark has been in the chat a lot, man. He's always asking great questions and good supporter of the channel and all that. So I guess that's it, man. I think we'll pretty much just wrap up the show. I mean, we've already went over all the topics I wanted to talk about and everything. Any final thoughts, man? Tell people where they can find you. Let them know, man.
I'll start with where you can find me. You can find me on TikTok. Twitter is where I said I frequent the most at the beginning. If you didn't catch that, at Ledgie Sports. It's right there on the little banner. Also on I think I already said TikTok, but YouTube.
Yeah.
And last thing I'm going to say is Devin Booker is going to be a Piston at some point. One way or another, he's going to be a Piston because his favorite player, Rip Hamilton, favorite team, the 04 championship team, grew up in Grand Rapids. He thought he was going to be a Piston. Oh, and Troy Weaver knows what he's doing here. It's going to be nice.
You know, that's the part of the show where we're going to have to disagree, man. I truly believe, I talked about this yesterday, man, like no joke. Unless the Phoenix Suns organization collapses and everything goes to a disaster, I think Devin Booker's here for life. You know what I mean? Now, maybe there's a scenario where he's like 39 years old and things are terrible with the Suns and he's like, yeah, I'm out of here. Goes to Detroit and retires. You know what I mean? Like we've seen like a Tony Parker play for the Hornets. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Random Hakeem Olajuwon play for the Raptors. Like that's, you know, but hey, you know what? If that's your opinion, I have my opinion on that. I will say this though, man. I could see Devin Booker being a coach. I'm serious. Dude, like sometimes he's on the bench and he's got a paper in his hand. He's coaching and talking to the guys and telling DeAndre Ayton where he needs to be and all that. I could see him being a coach, man.
That's nice to have, especially from not like an old guy. He's still entering his prime.
He's only 25, 26 years old or something like that.
That's nice to have.
But once again, you guys, this was a great show. My guest here, DJ Ledgie Sports. Go follow him. The link's down below. It's the Linktree link in the description. Follow me on social media, guys. This is a great show. Thank you to everybody who attempted to join. Looks like we had some communication issues. And again, you guys, if you want to hear my reaction, full thoughts on all this Kyrie stuff, all that is on the channel. I've been pumping out content like crazy. Follow me in the description. The Phoenix Suns get a 116-100 win over the Pistons. Ledgie, I don't think we play you. Did we play you guys? No, I don't think we play you anymore this season. But maybe during the off season, man, maybe we'll have you on. We'll talk some free agency or draft or whatever it may be, man.
Yeah, if you ever need someone to talk to on here.
Yes, sir. I got you, man. Again, go follow Ledgie Sports. Link is in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Brandon, aka Suns Geek, and if it has to deal with the Phoenix Suns, I'm going to make a video about it. Stay safe out there, you guys. Take care, and as always, go Suns.